Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Reddit Stories video. Today we're diving into some of the most insane, jaw-dropping, and downright controversial AITAH, Am I the Asshole confessions that have been breaking the internet. From relationship drama that'll make your head spin to family betrayals that'll have you questioning humanity, this one is packed with stories that'll leave you shocked, frustrated, and maybe even a little speechless. Thank you all so much for stopping by. I seriously appreciate every single one of you who tunes into these videos. Drop a comment down below and let me know which story had you screaming at your screen the most. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're on the road to 10K subscribers, and I'd love for you to be part of the journey. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. Am I the asshole for embarrassing my stepmom at dinner after she tried to teach me a lesson about my real mom? All right, let's get into this one. Our writer, an 18-year-old young woman, lost her mom when she was just 10. That's a deep, irreplaceable loss. And like anyone who's lost a parent, she holds on to the memories, the little things that keep her mom close. In this case, it's a necklace her mom gave her before she passed. She wears it every single day. Now, her stepmom, she's been in the picture for about 8 years, and while they're civil, there's no deep, loving bond. And why is that? Well, because stepmom acts like she's in a competition that nobody signed up for. She gets weird when writer talks about her mom. She side-eyes the necklace, and overall, it's like she can't stand that the mother she never even met is still part of the conversation. Fast forward to a family dinner. Writer, her dad, stepmom, and stepmom's parents are all sitting together and the conversation is light, normal. Then, stepmom's mom notices the necklace and asks about it. A simple question, no drama. Writer answers honestly, "It was my mom's. She gave it to me before she passed. I wear it every day." And this is where stepmom fully exposes herself. "Well, technically I'm your mom now. I've done more mothering in the last 8 years than she did in 10. I need everyone to take a moment and absorb the absolute audacity of that statement." This woman who knows writer's mom passed, who knows how much she means to her, really had the guts to sit there at a dinner table surrounded by family and say that out loud. The table goes silent. Because what even was that? But writer? Oh, she wasn't about to let that slide. She hits her with, "If you think being a mom is about trying to erase the actual one, then yeah, you've been amazing." Oof, that one landed. Stepmom looks stunned, like she wasn't expecting any pushback. Her mom gasps, and dad, instead of backing his daughter up, he tells her to apologize. Apologize? For what? For defending her own mother? For refusing to let this woman rewrite history? Writer stands her ground. She refuses. She tells them, plain and simple, that she's tired of stepmom acting like her mom never existed. She's not playing along anymore. And now stepmom is giving her the silent treatment. Good. If stepmom needs time to sit in that silence and reflect on why she thought that comment was okay, then let her. But dad saying writer needs to be the bigger person, that's classic. Because apparently the person being disrespected is always the one expected to keep the peace. So let's ask the big question. Is she the asshole? No, absolutely not. She didn't start this fight. She just ended it. Stepmom decided to take a swing, and writer hit her with the truth. Actions have consequences. And if stepmom didn't want to be embarrassed at dinner, maybe she shouldn't have said something so deeply disrespectful in the first place. But what do you guys think? Was writer justified in clapping back? Or should she have let it slide for the sake of family peace? Let me know in the comments. Am I the asshole for refusing to give up on my doggo for my boyfriend? All right, let's break this down. Our writer is 26 and has had a golden retriever for 4 years. Not just a pet, a best friend, a loyal companion, family. This dog has been there through everything, and it's clear there's a deep bond. Now, enter the boyfriend. They've been together a little over a year, and things are getting serious enough to talk about moving in together. Seems normal, right? Until he drops this absolute bombshell. "I didn't realize how much having a pet in the house would bother me." Wait, What? He knew about the dog this entire time. It's not like Ryder suddenly showed up with a surprise Great Dane. The dog was always part of the deal. But somehow this man decides to take it a step further. If you really loved me, you'd be willing to compromise and find another home for her. Excuse me? Find another home? Like, this is a couch that doesn't fit the new apartment's vibe? Like, this isn't a living, breathing creature who has been by Ryder's side for years? And Ryder's response? Absolutely perfect. Laughter. Because what else is there to do in the face of this level of audacity? But the boyfriend? Dead serious. And then comes the ultimate guilt trip. You're choosing a dog over our future. No. Ryder is choosing loyalty. Ryder is choosing values. This isn't a random dog picked up last week. This is family. And to make matters worse, boyfriend runs to friends for backup, expecting a wave of support. And some of them actually say, well, if you really see a future with him, maybe you should consider it. No, absolutely not. This isn't about a dog. This is about control. Because let's be real, what's next? If the boyfriend can demand Ryder rehome a beloved pet, what else is he going to push for? What's the next sacrifice he expects? And if he truly cared, would he even put Ryder in this position? No, he wouldn't. So, is Ryder the asshole? Not even close. But the boyfriend, he just showed his true colors, and maybe it's time he finds a new home. What do you guys think? Would you ever give up a pet for a relationship? Let's talk about it in the comments. Am I the asshole for sending my ex's wife a binder documenting his abuse after I found out she was pregnant? All right, let's talk about difficult decisions. Our Ryder didn't just survive an abusive relationship, she endured a nightmare. It wasn't just one kind of abuse, it escalated. Mentally, financially, physically, until it all came crashing down in the most dramatic way possible, with her ex getting arrested. And this wasn't some minor domestic dispute. He was convicted. 5 years of probation, lost his right to own a firearm. That alone tells us everything we need to know about how bad things really were. But here's what makes this story different. Ryder didn't just move on and pretend it never happened. She did the work. Therapy, healing, processing, and along the way she created a binder. Not out of spite, not for revenge, but because somewhere, deep down, she knew the truth mattered. Fast forward. Ryder's ex is married now to someone she actually knows, a sweet, smart, kind woman. Someone who, let's be honest, deserves so much better than him. And when Ryder hears she's pregnant, that's when the alarms start blaring. Because here's the thing, abusers don't change just because they say they do. They don't change because they're in a new relationship. They don't magically stop being controlling, manipulative, or violent. They just get better at hiding it, and the new wife, she has no idea. Why? Because the ex did what abusers do best, rewrite history. She's been fed the classic sob story. My ex was crazy, she lied, she made things up to ruin my life. But you know what she didn't get? The police reports, the court records, the cold hard evidence. And Ryder knows this. She also knows that if she does nothing, this woman might end up exactly where she was. So she makes a choice. A bold, risky, potentially life-altering choice. She copies every single page from that binder, the evidence, the journals, the proof, and then she writes a personal note. Not attacking, not judging, just saying, if you ever need to talk, I'm here. And she makes sure it lands in the wife's hands, not through the ex, not through chance. She gives it to a trusted mutual friend because if this man is still the same person he was before, he'd never let her see it. Days later, the wife reaches out, they meet for coffee, and this is where everything unravels. Piece by piece, the truth starts to sink in. She flips through the pages, cross-referencing what she was told with the real story. At first, doubt. But then she gets to the court records, the victim impact statement, and that's it. The illusion shatters. She believes it. No question. And what does she do next? She packs a bag. She leaves because now she knows. She knows that if she stays, she might end up in the same cycle of abuse. And if she brings a child into this, That child might grow up thinking that kind of treatment is normal. But here's where things get complicated. Not everyone agrees with what Ryder did. Some people say she had no right to blow up someone else's life, that maybe the ex had changed, that Ryder should have stayed out of it. And look, that's a fair question, because what if the ex was different now? What if his new wife had never seen any of that behavior? What if, by stepping in, Ryder just ruined something that wasn't broken? But let's be real. If someone has a documented history of abuse, not just accusations, but police involvement, convictions, legal consequences, shouldn't people have the right to know? Because what if Ryder had done nothing? What if that woman had spent years in that same nightmare? What if her child had grown up witnessing the exact same abuse Ryder lived through? Is silence really the right answer? Because here's the thing. Ryder didn't destroy a marriage. The truth did. All she did was put the truth in front of someone who deserved to make an informed choice. And what did that woman choose? She walked away. So, is Ryder the asshole? Absolutely not. This wasn't about revenge. This wasn't about causing drama. This was about giving someone a chance to escape before it was too late. And honestly, that binder might have just saved 2 lives. But what do you guys think? Should Ryder have stayed out of it, or was this the only right thing to do? Let's talk about it in the comments. Am I the asshole for breaking up with my boyfriend after what his mother told me? All right, let's dive into this one because, wow, our Ryder was in a seemingly great relationship, 3 years together, mutual support, love, stability, everything seemed solid until she met his mother. Now let's pause for a second. Meeting the parents is usually a big deal. It's supposed to be a milestone, a step forward, a sign that things are getting even more serious. But for Ryder, it was the beginning of the end. Because the first thing his mother asks, "Are you taking care of my boy?" Not "nice to meet you." Not "tell me about yourself." Not even a basic "what do you do for work?" Nope, she skipped straight to "are you feeding him? Doing his laundry? Cleaning the house?" Like, this is the 1950s, and her son is a helpless toddler who can't figure out a washing machine. And Ryder, being the responsible, hardworking, multitasking powerhouse that she is, tells her the truth. Yes, she's doing all of that while working a job, while going to college, while chasing a career dream that actually matters to her. And what is her boyfriend doing? Sleeping, gaming, existing. And that's when the mother drops the real bombshell. You should quit your job and drop out of school to be a stay-at-home girlfriend. I'm sorry, what? Not even stay-at-home wife, not even stay-at-home mother, stay-at-home girlfriend. Like, that's a career path. Like, that's a full-time job with benefits and a 401k. And Ryder rightfully says no, because she has goals, dreams, a future that doesn't involve being someone's unpaid maid. And then the kicker, the moment that seals the deal, her boyfriend, the guy she's loved for 3 years, the guy she thought had her back, doesn't stand up for her, doesn't say, "Mom, that's ridiculous, she's amazing and I support her dreams," doesn't even offer basic human decency. Instead, he agrees. He agrees. He sits there and basically says, "Yeah, I do deserve better." And Ryder, like an absolute queen, doesn't waste another second. She doesn't scream. She doesn't beg. She doesn't try to convince him of her worth. She just packs her stuff and leaves. And he has the audacity to act surprised, like he can't figure out why his girlfriend, the woman he just openly devalued in front of his mother, might not want to stay. Then his family starts piling on. You overreacted. You broke up with him for no reason. No reason? If you find out 3 years in that your partner expects you to give up your entire future just to cook and clean for them while they nap and game all day, that is absolutely a reason, because Ryder saw the truth. She saw that this man would never support her dreams, that he and his mother saw her as a live-in maid, not an equal partner. And instead of wasting more time, she walked away. And let's be real, this wasn't just about what his mother said. This was about who he really was. Because a man who actually loves and respects his partner doesn't expect her to abandon her career to be his servant, doesn't let his mother belittle her, doesn't sit there in silence when she's being disrespected. So, is Ryder the asshole? Absolutely not. She dodged a lifetime of frustration, resentment, and being treated like an unpaid housekeeper. And honestly, she got out just in time. But what do you guys think? Was breaking up the right move, or should she have tried to work things out? Let's talk about it in the comments. Am I the asshole for letting my boyfriend get a taste of his own medicine? All right, let's talk about this because this is a classic case of can dish it out but can't take it. Ryder has been dealing with constant disrespect from her boyfriend. And I'm not talking about harmless teasing or a once-in-a-while inside joke between couples. No. This man has made it his entire personality to call Ryder dumb and stupid at every turn. Publicly in front of his friends until they started doing it too. Let's just sit with that for a second. The person who is supposed to love and respect her has turned mocking her intelligence into a group activity. And when she tells him it bothers her, you're too sensitive. It's just a joke. No, a joke is funny for both people involved. If one person is begging for it to stop, it's not a joke anymore. It's just bullying. So what happens? Ryder hosts a work party, a big deal for her career, a room full of highly accomplished professionals. And this man still can't behave himself, still has to put her down even in front of people who actually respect her intelligence. And then enters the senior colleague. And let me just say, give this woman a round of applause because she immediately saw through the nonsense and called him out. And oh, the irony. This man, who has been calling Ryder dumb for years, now finds himself in a room where he is the least accomplished person there. And when he gets humiliated, now it's a problem. Now he's angry. Now he's sulking. Now he wants to talk about what's unnecessary and cruel. Excuse me? Where was this energy when he was tearing Ryder down in front of his friends? Where was his concern for kindness when she was humiliated over and over again? And the best part? Ryder didn't even do anything to him. She didn't set him up. She didn't plan this. He walked into that party, disrespected her just like he always does, and for the first time, someone put him in his place. And he can't handle it. Because for the first time, he got a taste of what he's been serving Ryder for years. And suddenly, it's not so funny anymore. So, is Ryder the asshole? No, absolutely not. What she did wasn't even revenge, it was natural consequences. She didn't humiliate him, he humiliated himself. She didn't set him up, he walked right into a room full of people smarter than him and still thought he was the main character. And the fact that he's mad? That just proves he always knew it was hurtful. He just didn't care. Until it happened to him. But what do you guys think? Did he get exactly what he deserved, or should Ryder have defended him? Let's talk about it. Am I the asshole for thinking about divorcing my wife after she drunkenly exposed me to our group of friends? All right, let's dive into this absolute nightmare of a situation. Because honestly, I don't blame Ryder for feeling violated, humiliated, and completely lost. This wasn't just some offhanded joke. This wasn't a private bedroom conversation. This was a public execution of Ryder's dignity in front of all their friends. And over what? A completely harmless and lighthearted conversation about maintaining intimacy during travel. And then, out of nowhere, boom. Ryder's wife, his partner, the person who should protect his insecurities, drops the ultimate low blow. I don't think they make them that tiny. Excuse me? I felt that secondhand embarrassment through the screen. And here's the thing. Ryder knows. He's known his whole life. He's worked through it, found confidence in other ways, even let his wife joke about it privately in the bedroom, because in that setting, it was between them. But now their entire friend group knows. Now, every time he walks into a room, there's that unspoken thought lingering in the air. And that's the thing about humiliation. It's not about whether people actually care or judge. It's about knowing they know. and let's talk about the aftermath. She immediately backpedals, starts apologizing, texting, calling, because, oh, now she realizes what she did. But the damage is already done. You can't unsay something like that. You can't erase the moment where your husband, your life partner, felt like the smallest person in the room, literally and figuratively, and Ryder's reaction? Completely justified. He left. Didn't yell, didn't make a scene, he just walked out. And now he's sitting with this massive question. Can he ever trust her again? And that's what this is really about. Not size, not jokes, but trust. Because if your own wife is willing to throw your biggest insecurity into the spotlight for a laugh, what else is she capable of? Can Ryder ever truly feel safe with her again? Or will he always wonder if the next time she drinks too much, she'll let something else slip? Honestly, I don't blame Ryder for considering divorce, because this isn't just an argument. This is a fundamental breach of trust, and that's something that an apology alone can't fix. But what do you guys think? Was this a drunken mistake that should be forgiven? Or is Ryder completely justified in wanting out? Let's talk about it. Am I the asshole for not giving my stepsister my half of her mother's life insurance? All right, this situation is layered, so let's break it down. First off, Ryder's husband has had a rough history with his stepmother. And I mean rough. Imagine losing your dad at 19, already dealing with grief, confusion, and the weight of adulthood, only to have your stepmother slam the door in your face. Literally. No access to his father's home. No sentimental keepsakes, not even his own childhood belongings. And the final gut punch? Her last words to him were about keeping a TV. A TV, not take care of yourself. Not I'm sorry for your loss. Just the TV stays. That tells you everything about how she saw him. She didn't see him as family. She didn't see him as her late husband's son. She saw him as someone to shut out. So fast forward 28 years, she's gone. And now her daughter, who never once had to endure what Ryder's husband did, wants money from him. Money that legally he is entitled to. Money that her mother would have never given him willingly. And yet she thinks he should just hand it over. Let's pause here. Where was she when her mother was shutting him out of his father's house? Where was she when his childhood memories were tossed away or given to her own kids? Where was she when his father's life insurance was taken without him seeing a cent? And now, when the shoe is on the other foot, suddenly it's about fairness? Now it's unfair? Where was all this talk about fairness when he was grieving at 19 and left with nothing? This isn't about morals. This is about consequences. Ryder's husband didn't ask for this money. He didn't manipulate the system to get it. It fell into his lap purely because of how life insurance policies work. And honestly, if the stepmother had truly cared about her daughter getting this money, she would have named a beneficiary. She didn't. That's not Ryder's husband's fault. That's her fault. And now he's supposed to feel guilty? Listen, this man has been wronged too many times. This isn't about being bitter or petty. This is about not setting yourself on fire to keep people warm, especially people who would have never done the same for you. Would he be legally in the clear to keep it? Yes. Would he be morally in the wrong for keeping it? Absolutely not. Honestly, cash the check, because if the roles were reversed, they wouldn't hesitate to do the same. But what do you guys think? Should he keep the money, or does he owe his stepsister something? Let's talk about it. Am I the asshole for refusing to take my boss's dog home every night, even though it's just a temporary arrangement? All right, folks, buckle up, because this one is wild. We have a boss who thinks we're like family means I get to dump my responsibilities on you. And not just any responsibility, his dog. Not a company dog, not a shared office pet, his personal golden retriever. And instead of, being a responsible adult and finding a solution that actually makes sense, he just drops this problem onto his employees like it's part of their job descriptions. And let's talk about Buddy for a second. Buddy is a menace. Not because he's a bad dog, he's just being a dog. But Greg is the problem. Buddy is eating people's lunches. Buddy is barking during client calls. Buddy peed on the office printer. And Greg's response? Haha, classic Buddy. No, Greg, not classic Buddy. Classic bad dog owner. But then Greg takes it to a whole new level. Instead of figuring out where his dog should sleep at night, he just assumes one of his employees will handle it. Like, excuse me? And when nobody volunteers, he doesn't ask. He assigns. Like, this is just part of the admin assistant job description now? When do you want to start taking Buddy home? Oh, Greg, I don't. I really, really don't. And Ryder does exactly what any sane person would do. Laugh, because surely this is a joke. But Greg is dead serious. And when Ryder shuts him down, suddenly she's the bad guy. He gives her the I'm not mad, just disappointed speech, starts throwing out vague, this might affect your future here threats, and then deploys office guilt-tripping tactics. The cherry on top, Buddy is now part of the guilt campaign. Greg is bringing him over to Ryder's desk. Greg is telling her how much Buddy likes her. Buddy is actively staring at her while she types. This is a hostage situation. At this point, Greg isn't running an office. Greg is running a cult. And the worst part, some of Ryder's coworkers are buying into it. They're actually siding with Greg. They're calling her selfish. They're saying Jessica never complained. Yeah? Jessica also didn't have a choice. Jessica also moved out of state. And I have a feeling Jessica sprinted to the border. Honestly, Ryder's fiance has the right idea. This isn't just dumb, it's toxic. Greg is weaponizing guilt, workplace pressure, and now even Buddy himself to manipulate Ryder into doing what he wants. And here's the real kicker. If Ryder gives in, even once, she will be Buddy's full-time guardian until she quits. Greg is not going to find a different solution. Greg is not going to take responsibility. Greg is not going to stop guilt-tripping her. Because in Greg's world, problems are solved by dumping them onto someone else. So is Ryder the asshole? Absolutely not. But Greg is out here committing workplace-level pet abandonment. What do you guys think? Would you take Buddy home or would you tell Greg to get it together? Let's talk about it. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my sister hijack my honeymoon for her healing trip? All right, let's get into this one because, wow. Imagine this. You spend months, maybe even years, planning the perfect honeymoon. 2 weeks in Greece, crystal blue waters, romantic sunsets, just you and your new spouse celebrating the start of your life together. And then, at the last second, surprise, your sister, freshly dumped, wants to crash it. Not just any vacation, your honeymoon, because apparently your once-in-a-lifetime trip is now her personal therapy retreat. And look, breakups suck. They do. Nobody's saying she can't be sad, nobody's saying she can't heal. But why does that have to happen in Santorini on your honeymoon? And let's talk about mom for a second. Because instead of saying, sweetheart, I know you're hurting, but we'll figure something else out, mom goes full guilt trip mode. Be there for family. You can always go on another trip. Oh, really, Mom? Sure, let me just cancel my honeymoon, spend thousands of dollars again, and somehow recreate the magic of my newlywed trip later? Does that logic apply to weddings too? Oh, you can always have another wedding. Like, come on. And the audacity of the sister to call Ryder selfish. Because let's be real here. This isn't about needing support. This is about her not wanting to sit in her feelings like the rest of us do when we get dumped. So instead of dealing with it in a normal way, she's like, I know what will make me feel better, watching my sister and her new husband be madly in love on their honeymoon. How does that even make sense? What does she think is going to happen? She's just going to third wheel through Greece, watching them hold hands and kiss on the beach, and that's somehow going to make her less sad? Absolutely not. And let's be honest, this wouldn't be just a healing trip. This would turn into babysitting duty, because instead of relaxing with her husband, Ryder would be managing her sister's emotional roller coaster. It wouldn't be, let's explore ancient ruins together. It would be, hey, can we go back to the hotel? I just saw a happy couple and now I'm spiraling. It wouldn't be romantic dinners by candlelight. It would be, my ex used to love Greek food. I can't stop thinking about him. So, is Ryder the asshole? Absolutely not. If anyone's being selfish here, it's the sister for thinking someone else's honeymoon is the appropriate place for her to process her heartbreak. And the mom for acting like this isn't the most ridiculous request of all time. The only way this would be worse is if she asked to bring a plus one, and that plus one was her ex. What do you guys think? Would you let a heartbroken sibling tag along on your honeymoon, or is this as ridiculous as it sounds? Let's talk about it. Am I the asshole for refusing to give my grandparents my late husband's life insurance payout? All right, buckle up, because this one is heavy. First off, Ryder, I am so sorry for your loss. Losing a spouse so suddenly, especially when you have young kids, is beyond devastating. And to go through that grief, only to have people show up with their hands out, that's a whole different level of cruel. Let's be very clear about something. Life insurance isn't an inheritance. It's not a bonus check that gets divided up among distant relatives. It's a safety net. It's what your husband put in place to protect his wife and his children. And now, after years of these grandparents not showing up for your family, they suddenly think they deserve a cut. Excuse me? Where was that same energy when they skipped the wedding? Where was that same energy when they barely made an effort with the grandkids? Where was that same energy when your husband was alive and could have chosen to help them himself? But now that there's money involved, oh, suddenly it's about honoring his memory. No, let's talk about who actually needs this money. You have a 6-year-old. You're a widow, raising 2 small kids on your own. That money is there to make sure they have stability, a home, an education, a future, not to bail out some grandparents who couldn't be bothered to care before. And let's be real, this isn't about honoring your husband. This is guilt manipulation at its finest. Because if your husband wanted them to have money, guess what? He would have put them on the policy. He didn't. He chose you and his children. And yet, here comes your mother-in-law, calling you selfish. Selfish? You, the woman left to raise 2 grieving children alone. You, the woman making sure his kids have everything they need after losing their dad. Where is her outrage for her own parents? Why isn't she the one stepping up to help them? Oh, right, because it's easier to guilt you into doing it. Listen, grief does weird things to people. It makes them desperate. It makes them act in ways they wouldn't normally act. But your first priority is your kids. You don't owe anyone that money. And you certainly don't owe it to people who weren't even present when your husband was alive. So, are you the asshole? Not even a little. What do you guys think? Should Ryder feel obligated to help out, or is this just pure entitlement? Let's talk about it. Am I the asshole for kicking my sister out of my house for telling my husband he's so lucky to be rich? Oh, buckle up, because this one sent me. Let's start with the facts. Ryder's husband didn't just wake up one day with a fat bank account. His money didn't come from some great investment, a thriving business, or even an inheritance given under normal circumstances. No, he's financially stable today because of a preventable tragedy that took his parents away from him when he was just 17 years old. A lawsuit followed, and while it secured his future, it did nothing, absolutely nothing, to bring back the 2 people he lost. And yet, despite all of that, Ryder's sister had the absolute audacity to sit in their home and say, "Wow, you're so lucky to be rich." Excuse me? Lucky? Let's break this down for the people in the back. Losing your parents in a tragedy is not a lucky break. Receiving a financial settlement because of a horrific, preventable event is not hitting the jackpot. Having to build your entire future without the guidance, love, and support of the 2 people who raised you is not something to be envied. The sheer lack of awareness it takes to make that comment baffles me. And the worst part? This wasn't an accidental slip of the tongue. No. This wasn't an awkward moment where she said something dumb, realized her mistake, and immediately backpedaled. Nope. She doubled down. She looked Ryder's husband, a man who had to bury his parents as a teenager, who had to live with the reality that his financial security came from an unimaginable loss, straight in the face and basically said, "Must be nice. Are you kidding me?" And for what? Because she wanted a free vacation? Because she and her boyfriend were planning a weekend getaway, and she thought, why should I pay for it when my sister's husband is rich and could just cover it for me? The entitlement is off the charts. And let's not forget, Ryder's husband didn't even dismiss her struggles. He wasn't sitting there saying, "Oh, must suck to be poor." In fact, he tried to downplay their trip. He literally told her, "We didn't do anything fancy there." That was him trying to relate to her situation and reassure her that she didn't need money to have a good time. And her response? To throw his trauma back in his face. Like, "Oh, you don't want to pay for my trip? Well, at least you're rich. At least you don't have to worry about saving up. At least you got a nice payout from your parents dying." She didn't say that last part out loud, but let's be real, that's exactly what she meant. And the absolute worst part, when Ryder rightfully called her out and told her to leave, her sister had the nerve to play the victim. The very next day, she started hitting her up saying, "You overreacted. That was so OTT. I can't believe you actually threw me out over this." Girl, you got thrown out because you disrespected the man whose house you were sitting in. Because instead of saying, "Wow, that was out of line, I'm sorry," you acted like he owed you something. And now, instead of apologizing, she's doubling down yet again. Ryder, let me be crystal clear. You did not overreact. Your sister was wildly out of line. And honestly, you showed way more patience than I would have. Because if I were in your shoes, she wouldn't just be out of my house, she'd be out of my life until she showed some serious personal growth. Your husband might be saying you don't have to stand by this, but let's be honest, he's just being kind. You saw what that comment did to him. You saw the hurt behind his eyes. You saw the pain she reopened with zero remorse. And you stood up for him. That's what a real partner does. And if your sister can't understand why what she said was so deeply hurtful, then she can stay out until she figures it out. So are you the asshole? Not even close. But your sister? Oh, she's swimming in it. What do you guys think? Should Ryder hold firm on her boundary? Or is this something she should just let go? Let me know in the comments. Am I the asshole for walking out of a family dinner after my parents insulted my Thai wife? All right, let's get into it. This one has me fuming. Ryder and his wife, Fa, have been together for 5 years. A solid, loving marriage. Fa's smart, hardworking, and successful. In fact, she makes more money than Ryder. And yet, despite all of that, his parents have refused to let go of this ignorant, outdated, borderline racist idea that she must be some gold-digging, green card hunting schemer. It doesn't matter how much evidence proves them wrong. It doesn't matter that she never asked for a dime. It doesn't matter that she built her own career and, let's be real, could probably sponsor him if she wanted to. Because in their minds, she's nothing more than a stereotype. And you know what? That's disgusting. Let's talk about this joke. So there they are, sitting at dinner, and Ryder's dad decides to smirk and drop this little gem. "So, Fa, now that you've been married 5 years, do you finally get to keep your green card?" Excuse me? How does a man say something like that with a straight face? And then his mom, not to be outdone, piles on, "Guess you don't have to be on your best behavior anymore, huh?" Like Fa has just been playing the role of perfect wife, so she could finally get her ultimate prize, American citizenship. And let's talk about how cruel that is. Fa isn't just anybody, she's family. She has spent 5 years loving and supporting Ryder. She has spent 5 years being polite, kind, and respectful to his parents, even when they didn't deserve it. And now they sit across from her at the dinner table, laughing in her face, acting like her love for their son is fake, like her marriage is a transaction, like she's been conning them all along. And then when she goes pale, when it's clear she's hurt, when Ryder stands up for her, what do? Double down. Because of course they do. Oh, come on, it's just a joke. Ah, yes. The classic excuse of people who say horrible things and don't want consequences. But wait, it gets worse. We just can't help but wonder how much of this marriage was for love and how much was for the visa. Are you kidding me? At this point, it's not even a joke anymore. This is just straight up disrespect. They're telling her to her face that they don't believe her marriage is real, that they don't see her as family. And then, because Ryder actually has a spine, he does the only right thing and gets his wife out of there. Now let's talk about the aftermath. You would hope that after a night like that, his parents would realize they crossed a line, that they would feel some sort of guilt for hurting their son's wife, for embarrassing her, for making her question if they'll ever accept her. But nope. Instead, they decide to flip the script and play the victims. You embarrassed us in front of family. Oh, so now they care about embarrassment? They weren't embarrassed when they were slandering their daughter-in-law at the dinner table. They weren't embarrassed when they were implying their own son got scammed into marriage. But now, suddenly, it's a problem? Spare me. And then, of course, the brother chimes in. You should have just kept the peace. Ah, yes. Let's all just sit there and smile while a grown woman gets humiliated in front of the entire family. Let's all just pretend that casual racism and blatant disrespect are things that should just be talked about later. No, Ryder did exactly what he should have done. Because here's the thing, silence is acceptance. If Ryder had just sat there and let those comments slide, he would have been telling Fa that their words were okay, that her humiliation didn't matter, that keeping the peace was more important than defending her. And let's be real, that's what his parents were counting on. They expected Ryder to laugh it off. They expected Fa to just sit there and take it, because they've gotten away with this attitude for years. Well, not anymore. So is Ryder the asshole? Not even a little bit. His parents were cruel, his parents were offensive, his parents knew exactly what they were doing. And now that they're being called out, they're playing the victims. If anything, Ryder is a damn hero for standing up for his wife in the moment. Not later, not privately, but right then and there when it mattered most. And if his parents really cared about keeping their son in their lives, they'd be on the phone apologizing right now. But instead, they're throwing tantrums because their insults didn't go unchallenged. So, what do you guys think? Should Ryder keep his distance until they can actually apologize? Or is there any chance they'll ever change? Let me know in the comments. Am I the asshole for humiliating my sister's fiance at a family gathering after what he did to her? Oh, buckle up, because this one made my blood boil. Let's set the scene. Ryder's sister has been with this guy for 3 years, and from what we can tell, she's the quiet, reserved one, while her fiance, loud, extroverted, and apparently lacking basic human decency. But here's the thing, everyone tolerated him. That is, until she decided to pull one of the cruelest, most humiliating stunts imaginable. The fake proposal incident. A few weeks ago, this man, grown man, thought it would be hilarious to set up a fake proposal in front of all his friends. And we're not talking about a little joke in private. No. He went all out. The build-up, the anticipation, probably even getting down on one knee. And then, just kidding, babe. You really thought I was serious? Are you kidding me? And while he and his friends laughed like a bunch of high school bullies, Ryder's sister stood there humiliated. And let's be clear, this isn't just a prank. This isn't some oops, I went a little too far kind of joke. This is emotional cruelty, plain and simple. And somehow, he still had the audacity to brush it off. Oh, I actually do have a real proposal planned soon. This was just a joke gone wrong. Oh, wow. A joke gone wrong? No, what went wrong is that she didn't immediately dump him on the spot. But here's the wild part, she stayed. And honestly, that's what makes this even sadder. Fast forward to the family dinner. Ryder's sister is still with this man, and they're at a family gathering when someone asks, completely innocently, "So when's the wedding?" And before Ryder's sister can even answer, this smug excuse of a fiancé decides to drop this little gem. Guess she'll just have to wait and see, huh? Oh, he thinks he's so clever. He thinks he's in control. He thinks he can keep teasing her, dangling the idea of marriage over her head like it's some game. And that's when Ryder had enough. Oh, is this like how she had to wait for that hilarious fake proposal in front of all your friends? That was so funny, right? Let's all have a good laugh about it now. And just like that, the entire dinner table went silent. You know when you can actually feel the tension in the air? When someone says something so brutally truthful that it leaves everyone completely speechless? That was this moment. And honestly, it was deserved. Because let's be real, this man has never been held accountable. His friends laughed, his fiancée stayed, and he got away with it until now, because Ryder didn't let him off the hook. And to make things even better, their dad straight up called it for what it was. That's not a joke. That's cruelty. Yes, exactly. And what did this so-called fiancé do? He left. Because the second he wasn't in control of the joke, he couldn't handle it. Now let's talk about the aftermath. You would think, you would hope, that Ryder's sister would have a moment of clarity, that she'd realize, wow, this man just got called out in front of my entire family for emotionally tormenting me. Maybe I shouldn't marry him. But instead, she's mad at Ryder. You embarrassed him and made things worse. Worse? What's worse than being publicly humiliated by your own fiancé? What's worse than standing there while people laugh at you like you're some kind of punchline? What's worse than knowing the man you love thinks your feelings are a joke? Let's be honest. The only thing Ryder did was say what everyone else was already thinking. And now, her fiancé has finally been put in a position where he can't escape the consequences of his own actions. So is Ryder the asshole? Not even close. Ryder did what a good sibling should do. They defended their sister when she wouldn't defend herself. And sure, maybe the moment was brutal. Maybe it wasn't polite, but sometimes politeness is just another word for letting people get away with things they shouldn't. And the truth is, if a man is willing to humiliate his fiancée in front of his friends, he deserves to get humiliated in front of her family. Period. But what do you guys think? Should Ryder's sister finally wake up and leave this guy? Or is there any chance he can redeem himself after pulling a stunt like that? Let me know in the comments. Am I the asshole for naming my son after me after his dad ghosted me in the hospital and tried to use me for a green card? Oh, this one is messy. Let's rewind. The writer was in a relationship with a Nigerian man for 6 months, and from the sound of it, it was already on shaky ground. Cultural differences, emotional abuse, not exactly the foundation of a love story. And then, boom, January 2022. Ryder finds out she's pregnant. Here's where things get real. Pregnancy hell. This wasn't some glowing, magical experience with cute bellies and doting partner moments. Nope. Depression meds, weight loss, mental exhaustion, and through it all, she decided, with or without him, she was going to be a mom. And honestly, that's strength, because when you're growing a human and dealing with heartbreak at the same time, that's next level resilience. The birth and the vanishing act, September 2022. The baby is here, and where's dad? Nowhere. Ryder, in the haze of postpartum emotions, still reaches out. She's thinking, maybe he just needs proof. Maybe seeing the baby will make him step up. So she offers a DNA test. She lets him pick the baby's name, and he gives her nothing. No calls, no texts, no voicemails, radio silence. And after 3 days of waiting, Ryder makes a decision. I wasn't naming my baby after a ghost. And honestly, that line hit. Because let's be real, why would she? This man dipped at the most crucial moment of their child's life, and so Ryder names her son herself. The green card gamble. Now this is where it gets wild, because 3 months later, poof, he reappears. Suddenly, he's ready to be involved. Suddenly, he's willing to take the DNA test. Suddenly, he wants to be a father. And for a brief moment, it works. They reconcile. But guess what else is happening? His work visa expires and he starts pushing for marriage. This will extend my visa. I can provide for us. We'll do couples therapy, family vacations, the whole dream. Sounds good, right? Except he left out one tiny detail. What he really needed was citizenship. So now, Ryder is putting the pieces together. Was this love? Or was this just a calculated move? And when she realized she might have been used for a green card, for control, maybe even to take her baby, she spiraled. Therapy happened. Breakup happened. She moved in with her mom, and that should have been the end of it. The birthday bombshell. But no, it gets worse, because on their son's first birthday, instead of balloons, instead of showing up for his kid, instead of making any kind of real effort, he serves her with a protective order. A protective order out of nowhere. And that's when it became clear this wasn't a man trying to build a family. This was a man trying to build a case. And yet, Ryder still kept things civil. No contact, no drama, just co-parenting from a distance. And guess what? She never even denied him access to his kid. She sent pictures. He paid child support. Fine. But then, the 2025 name change demand. Now, 3 years later, he's suddenly back with a brand new demand. You need to change our son's name to my tribal names. It's about inheritance in Nigeria. Oh, so now the name matters? Now that there's money involved? Now that there's an inheritance at stake? Not when he ghosted the hospital, not when he ignored the DNA test, not when he skipped 2 birthdays, but now? Now, he's barking orders like he has some kind of authority, and Ryder gives him one condition, just one. Show up for your son consistently. Seems reasonable, right? And what does he do? Absolutely nothing. So is Ryder the asshole? Hell no. Ryder has been nothing but patient, understanding, and fair. She gave him chances. She kept him updated. She never cut him off from his son. And yet he still wants to dictate the terms of fatherhood without putting in the work. So no, the name stays. Period. But what do you guys think? Is Ryder right for standing her ground? Or do you think there's more to the inheritance situation than meets the eye? Let me know in the comments. Am I the asshole for rejecting my mom and refusing to forgive her for choosing her affair partner's kids over her own? Oh man, this one is heavy. We're talking about betrayal, abandonment, and a mother who completely dropped the ball. So let's break this down. The beginning of the end. For over 2 years, Ryder's mom started pulling away. At first, it probably seemed like she was just busy. Life happens, right? Maybe she had stuff going on, but then it became a pattern. She stopped showing up for Ryder's swimming competitions. She canceled their tradition of browsing record stores together, a tradition that had been solid since Ryder was 5. She ditched the cooking classes she used to do with Ryder's little brother. She missed his talent shows, and he's a musician, so moments matter. And then, the most messed up part. Ryder has asthma. He'd have attacks at school. And his mom, his stay-at-home mom, wasn't picking up the damn phone. His dad had to leave work multiple times to pick him up. Like, let that sink in. She was a stay-at-home mom. That was literally her role, and she just stopped caring. And why? Because she was too busy playing house with another man. The ultimate betrayal. Not only did she cheat on Ryder's dad, but she also abandoned her own kids in the process. And here's where it gets even more disgusting. While her own son was struggling to breathe at school, she was out there bonding with her affair partner's kids, taking care of them, supporting them. Meanwhile, her own children, an afterthought. Like, what? How do you choose to be a mother to some other woman's kids while actively neglecting your own? That's not just an affair. That's emotional abandonment. The forced new family. And then As if all that wasn't bad enough, she tried to force Ryder and his brother to accept the new situation. Court-ordered 50-50 custody? That was already rough. But then she starts shoving this new family dynamic down their throats, acting like they're all supposed to just get along. Give them a chance. Give them a chance? Ma'am, you didn't even give your own kids a chance when they needed you. You don't get to abandon your family and then turn around and force them to play nice with the replacements. And the audacity of the affair partner trying to scold Ryder, don't talk to your mother like that. Sir, you're the reason this family got blown up in the first place. You don't get to step in now and start making rules. Eventually, the court adjusts custody. Ryder only has to go once a month. And let's be real, he doesn't even want to do that. And now that the reality is sinking in for his mom, she suddenly wants to fix things. She's begging for forgiveness. She's breaking down. She's claiming she was a good mother for longer than she was a bad one. Like there's some kind of loyalty point system that cancels out the damage she caused. And Ryder is not having it. You chose another man's kids over us. You weren't there when I needed you. You ruined our family. And honestly, he's not wrong. She wants to make it up. But how do you undo years of neglect? How do you expect your kids to just move on when you actively chose to prioritize someone else over them? The therapist dilemma. Now, this therapist situation is sketchy as hell. Therapy is supposed to help you process feelings, not force reconciliation. Yet here's this therapist basically siding with mom and pressuring Ryder to forgive and move forward. And mom won't even let him switch therapists. Why? Because she's hoping this lady will wear him down. That's not healing. That's manipulation. Is Ryder the asshole? Absolutely not. Forgiveness is a choice, not a requirement. And let's be clear, Ryder doesn't owe his mother a damn thing. She made her decisions, she lived her life, and now she's dealing with the consequences. And that's on her. But what do you guys think? Should Ryder try to work things out with his mom, or is he completely justified in shutting her out? Let me know in the comments. Am I the asshole for giving the baby my last name? All right, folks, buckle up because this one is spicy. We've got commitment issues, power struggles, and a baby caught in the middle, so let's break it down. The setup. Ryder, 28F, and her boyfriend, 30M, have been together for 3 years, a solid amount of time. But here's the kicker. He doesn't believe in marriage. In fact, he thinks marriage is a scam for men. Oof. Now, let's be real. If you're with someone for 3 years and they openly state they don't believe in marriage, you have to accept that at face value. This man is not putting a ring on it. And hey, fair enough. People have different views on marriage, but then the unexpected happens. Boom, a pregnancy. And suddenly, we're talking about legacy. And just like that, the last name war begins. The last name battle. So here's the deal. Boyfriend wants the baby to have his last name. Ryder, not so fast. No ring, no name. And honestly, I don't blame her. Why? Because let's be real, society already expects kids to automatically get the father's last name. But why? Especially in this case where 1, there's no marriage. 2, the mother is the one physically carrying and birthing the child. 3, he's the one who doesn't want legal ties. Like, my guy. You can't say marriage is a scam, but then get mad when you don't get the traditional benefits that come with it. You don't want legal commitment? Cool. Then don't expect automatic entitlement to the baby's name. You're holding the baby's name hostage. This is where the boyfriend flips it. Suddenly, Ryder is the bad guy. According to him, she's holding the baby's name hostage. Sir, hostage? This isn't some ransom note. This is a child's identity. It's her last name. She's carrying this baby. She's birthing this baby. She's not denying him parenthood. She's not keeping the baby away from him. She's simply choosing to give the child her name. But now, suddenly, he cares about tradition. A man who thinks marriage is a scam is suddenly pushing for a deeply traditional naming practice. Make it make sense. The compromise. Now, Reddit overwhelmingly takes Ryder's side. And after standing her ground, they reach a compromise. Baby gets her last name. His last name goes in the middle, and they also include a family name from his side. Honestly, that's a fair deal. She didn't cut him out. She didn't disrespect his side of the family. She simply made sure her baby had her last name without erasing his identity either. So is Ryder the asshole? Absolutely not. She wasn't being petty. She wasn't playing games. She simply matched her energy to his. He doesn't want legal commitment, then he doesn't get automatic name entitlement. And that, my friends, is called accountability. But what do you guys think? Should Ryder have given the baby his last name, or was she completely right to stand her ground? Let me know in the comments. Try Am I the Asshole for kicking my sister out after she refused to follow one simple rule? All right, let's get into this because I already feel my blood pressure rising. We have Ryder 30M, a responsible guy with a house, a job, and most importantly, Baxter, his beloved Labrador and basically his child. And then we have Emily 26F, his younger sister who's going through a classic life meltdown. Bad breakup? Check. Lost job? Check. Needs a place to stay? Double check. So being the good big brother he is, Ryder lets her move in. But he has one rule. One simple rule. The door. Because Baxter is an escape artist. And when Baxter sees an open door, he doesn't just stroll outside for some fresh air. He bolts. He goes full Usain Bolt. He disappears. And Ryder has to go on a full-on neighborhood-wide panic-inducing dog hunt. Now let's be real. This isn't an unreasonable rule. We're not talking about a list of chores or some weird, strict curfew. It's literally just closing a door. And what does Emily do? She laughs it off. Oh yeah, I got it. And then it happens. 2 days. 2 days. Ryder comes home from work, and what does he see? The front door wide open. Baxter, gone. Emily, nowhere to be found. I can already feel the frustration bubbling up. Ryder goes into full panic mode. Leash in hand, running through the neighborhood, probably looking like some crazy guy yelling Baxter at the top of his lungs. And let's not forget, this isn't just an inconvenience. This is dangerous. Dogs can run into traffic, they can get lost, they can get stolen. Thankfully, some random guy grabbed Baxter before the worst could happen. But imagine if he hadn't. And here's where it gets really infuriating. Ryder comes home, probably sweating and out of breath, and finds Emily chilling on the couch like nothing happened. Like she didn't just send this man on a real-life rescue mission. And what does she say? Oh yeah, I guess I forgot to close it. Excuse me? This isn't, oh, I forgot to take the trash out. This isn't, oh, I left a dish in the sink. This is a living, breathing animal's life at risk. And when Ryder rightfully calls her out on it, she has the audacity to say, relax, he's fine. It's not that serious. I need a moment. This is where I completely understand why Ryder kicked her out, because this isn't just about the dog, it's about respect. She didn't just make a mistake, she dismissed the mistake like it didn't matter. And when you're staying in someone's home, you follow their rules, especially when it's something this easy. And now, here come the guilt-tripping parents. Oh, you chose a dog over family. Nah, Emily chose to disrespect the one thing Ryder asked her to do. She chose to ignore how serious this was. She chose to be careless with someone else's responsibility. So no, Ryder didn't choose a dog over family. He chose not to tolerate someone who refuses to respect his home. And honestly, good for him. So is Ryder the asshole? Nope, not even a little. Emily messed around and she found out. Actions have consequences, and maybe, just maybe, this will teach her a lesson in respecting other people's boundaries. But what do you guys think? Was Ryder too harsh, or did Emily need this wake-up call? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Am I the asshole for not wanting to pay $100K for a princess wedding that the groom's parents want? All right, let's dive into this one because I already see the storm brewing. We've got Ryder, a parent who's already been through one wedding successfully. They set a budget, stuck to it, and their first daughter was thrilled with a beautiful wedding that cost $15K. Sounds reasonable, right? But now, here comes the youngest daughter's wedding, and suddenly we're talking about a six-figure event. Hold on, pause, rewind. Who exactly is pushing for this? Not the bride, not Ryder, but the groom's parents. Oh, I see what's happening here. They want a royal, over-the-top, Cinderella-level fairy tale spectacle, but not on their dime, on Ryder's dime. And let's be real here, $100K for a wedding is insane. That's not just a wedding, that's a down payment on a house. That's multiple luxury vacations. That's the kind of money that could actually help the newlyweds start their life together. And here's what really gets me. The bride herself isn't even the one demanding this. She straight up said, let them pay for it if they want it so bad. And you know what? She is right. Why should Ryder be forced to cough up a ridiculous amount of money for a wedding they never agreed to, especially when the original budget was set and fair? And let's talk about fairness. The first daughter had a $15K wedding. Now, the youngest is being told she should have a wedding nearly 7 times that cost? How is that fair? Just because the in-laws want to show off. This isn't about what the bride wants. This is about what the groom's family wants. And if they want to host a Great Gatsby level event, then they can open their own checkbooks. And here's another red flag. Ryder says, not getting a good feeling about all this. And you know what? That gut feeling is probably spot on, because this isn't just about the wedding. This is about control. The in-laws are trying to dictate the wedding and expect someone else to fund it. If they succeed in steamrolling the bride's own family now, what's next? Will they be trying to name the grandkids, picking where the couple lives, dropping in unannounced every weekend? I don't know about you guys, but I smell trouble brewing. So is Ryder the asshole? Nope, not even close. They set a fair budget. They're treating both daughters equally. They're even offering extra cash for a house down payment, which is way more useful than a one-night event. The only people being unreasonable here are the in-laws. So if they want the grand wedding, they can foot the grand bill. But what do you guys think? Is Ryder being unfair, or are the in-laws completely out of line? Drop your thoughts below. Am I the asshole for not telling my ex that I adopted a child? All right, this one is juicy. Let's break it down. We've got Ryder, a single mom who's been navigating life on her own terms for the past 6 years. She shares a 4-year-old son, Bryson, with her ex, Eric. Their relationship has been, let's call it, complicated. Now, after their breakup, Eric moved on, got married, started a new family, the whole white picket fence deal. Meanwhile, Ryder decided to pursue something she's always wanted, a second child. She went through the long, emotional process of adoption and welcomed a baby girl into her home. Sounds like a beautiful, independent decision, right? Well, enter Eric, stage left. The man finds out from their son, not from Ryder herself, and suddenly, he's furious. He's calling her childish for not telling him, saying he should have been the first to know, insisting that they should have had a sit-down discussion about how this would affect Bryson. Hold up, pause, rewind. Did this man seriously expect to be consulted about a decision that has nothing to do with him? Because let's not forget, 1, he moved on. 2, he has his own growing family. 3, he made it clear that their relationship only extends to co-parenting Bryson. So why does he feel entitled to a say in Ryder's personal life? When he and his wife had their baby, did he sit down and get Ryder's approval? No? Exactly. Now, let's talk about the real issue here. This isn't about the baby. This isn't about Ryder's financial stability, which, by the way, she's got covered. This is about control. Eric doesn't like that Ryder made a huge life decision without running it past him first. He's not mad about the adoption. He's mad that he wasn't involved. And let's be real. Why should he have been? The only valid concern here would be how this impacts Bryson. And guess what? Ryder already handled that. She talked to her son. He's excited. He's happy. So what's the problem? Eric. So is Ryder the asshole? No, not even a little. She didn't do anything wrong. She honored her ex's boundaries. She made sure her son was okay. She took on the responsibility of another child entirely on her own. Eric, on the other hand, massive overstep. If he's so worried about consistency in Bryson's life, maybe he should focus on his own household instead of policing his ex's choices. So what do you guys think? Is Ryder in the wrong for not telling Eric sooner? Or is Eric grasping at control he no longer has? Drop your thoughts below. Am I the asshole for refusing to sleep on the couch? All right, buckle up, because this one is a roller coaster from start to finish. We've got Ryder, a 22-year-old guy, just trying to have a chill night out to celebrate a friend's girlfriend's birthday. He makes his plans crystal clear to his own girlfriend, lets her know where he's going, texts her throughout the night, even brings her food on the way home. Seems reasonable, right? Oh, but wait. He walks in, hands her the food like a considerate boyfriend, and what does she do? She throws it in the trash. Pause. Not in the fridge for later. Not a simple, oh thanks, but I already ate. Straight into the trash. At this point, I'm already side-eyeing this whole situation because that is next level petty. But Ryder keeps his cool. He lets it go. But then, here comes the real storm. His girlfriend loses it over a photo of him at the bar with his buddy and his buddy's girlfriend. Mind you, she knew the plans. She ignored his updates. And suddenly she's accusing him of being a terrible person for even existing in the presence of another woman. But wait, it gets worse. She then orders him to sleep on the couch, claiming she's afraid for her safety. Excuse me? What? He had one drink and a shot, not exactly enough to be belligerent. And there's absolutely zero indication that he was aggressive or threatening. She just decided to play the victim. And when he refuses, she snatches the blankets, throws his pillow across the room, and knocks over a lamp. Now, I'm sorry, but this is not normal behavior. At this point, Ryder has every right to be done. He tells her to go to sleep and talk in the morning. But instead, she storms out to her parents' house and then starts spreading a lie that he hit her. That is sick. False accusations like this ruin lives. They destroy reputations. They break trust. And honestly, the fact that some of her friends actually believed her without question is terrifying. Thankfully, some of them saw through the BS and even helped pack her stuff. And you know what? Good. Because let's be real here, this wasn't just about one bad night. This was about control. She wanted to dictate who he could be around. She wanted to punish him for not reading her mind. She wanted to manipulate him into thinking he did something wrong. And when that didn't work, she escalated. So, is Ryder the asshole? Absolutely not. If anything, he dodged a nuclear-level red flag, and to be honest, her friends should be warning people about her. So what do you guys think? Was there any way Ryder could have handled this differently, or did he just escape a walking disaster waiting to happen? Let me know in the comments.